Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let me show you how to create a spinning newspaper effect for use in your video projects. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So the spinning newspaper effect is something you see in TV and movies sometimes, and it could be fun to put in your own video projects. But there's nothing in iMovie that will allow you to make it. As a matter of fact, I see a lot of comments from people online saying how difficult it is, or how you have to go to some external apps or different resources online to get a spinning newspaper effect. But you can actually build one quite easily if you use Keynote. And Keynote will allow you to then export that as a video, which you can use in iMovie or any video editing app. So in Keynote here, I'm just going to create a new basic black presentation. And I'm going to get rid of the text fields that are there. And I'm going to build the animation right on here. Now, of course, the first thing you need is the newspaper graphic. So either you've created this for yourself or you've downloaded one or whatever. You've got one built, and I'm just going to bring it in there. This is a pretty good one as it's semi-transparent, so there's no background color there. And I'm just going to put it here in the middle. Now, it would be great if there was a transition that would actually bring this in kind of that spinning newspaper animation. And in fact, if you go to Animate and then Build In with this selected and find a variety of effects, one of them is even called Spin. But if you preview, you could see it spins it in a different way. However, this isn't that bad if you want to use that special effect. Matter of fact, there's a bunch of different built-in transitions that you could use instead of a newspaper spin. So for instance, here's swoosh. Here's twirl, which gives you the newspaper spin, but it's not changing the size. It's always at the same size. It's just a quick rotation. There's also pop. You can play with these, and these might work really great for you. If that's the case, you can skip to the end where I tell you how to export from Keynote. But let's try to get the actual real newspaper spin where it starts small, grows to full size all the time while spinning. Now, to do that, we're going to have to combine two effects. But unfortunately, you can't do that in a built-in. So for instance, if I were to use twirl, I can just have twirl. I can't add on top of that pop or scale or something. So I'm going to not use any built-in, instead use an action animation. Action animations can actually be built on top of each other. So let's add an effect here, and you can see there are far fewer effects that are available. But one of them is rotate and the other is scale. So combining the two of these, we should be able to get the newspaper spin. Let's start by adding scale. Now, when I preview it, I can see that it starts at the current size and gets bigger. So for this to look good, let's not add the effect yet, but instead let's scale this down so it's the starting size. If I grab one of the handles here and I drag, it will shrink it, but I have to recenter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Option key down and drag, which will shrink it but keep it centered. And I'm going to have it start about there. Now I'm going to add the effect of scale. And you can see if I preview, it gets a little bit bigger. That's fine. We can customize that. Let's scale here. And let's set all the parameters. First, let's have it go for about 2 seconds instead. Second, let's have it scale bigger. And you can see it's going to show me the end state there. So right at about 500% works good for this particular example. Now we want to set the acceleration. Right now, if we preview it, it eases in and eases out. In other words, it starts slowly, gets faster, and then slows down again. If we changed it to none, it would scale at a constant rate. But I think for this, the ideal thing would be to ease out. So it starts fast, or at full speed at least, and then slows down. So that works out really good. So we've got scale set here. Now if we can have it spin at the same time, we've got our effect. We can do that if we click Add Action here, and now we can add Rotate. So let's do that. And you can see it's just going to rotate 45 degrees counterclockwise. That's not what we want at all. First, I think it looks a little bit better if we rotate clockwise. So let's have it do that. Second, I'm going to have it rotate no degrees. In other words, end the same as it starts. But you can set a number of rotations. So let's have it rotate a bunch of times, say 7 rotations. Now let's set the duration to 2 seconds so it does it for the same amount of time as the scaling, and set the acceleration also to ease out. So it starts at full speed and then slows down towards the end. Now if we preview this, we see the spin. Great, so we want both to happen at the same time. If we click on build order here at the bottom, we can see we've got the scale and we've got the rotate. But one's going to happen first after a click, and the second one will happen after that on a click. We can change on click to with build 1. So these two will happen now at the same time. And in fact, we can change build 1 to not start on click, but right after the transition. In other words, as soon as the slide appears. Now if we preview both at the same time, we can see we get our newspaper spin effect exactly as we want. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to get this out of Keynote and in a video form that we can use in a project. So to do that, all we need to do is export. Now, since I have a semi-transparent newspaper here and I don't want to use this black background, I'm going to go to Format and then click on the background of the slide. And now I've got Format for the slide selected, and I can set the color fill to no fill. So now it's a transparent slide. Even though black is going to be used as the color here in Keynote, it will be transparent when we export. Alternatively, I could forget about that and actually use a fill or a gradient fill or put a picture behind this and export the entire thing just as a regular video. That's fine too. So let's go to File now and then Export to, and then let's export to a movie. Now we can ignore all of this stuff except for the resolution. We want to make sure it's set to custom and make sure it's set to the width and height of the video project that we're using. So in this case it's a 4K video project. We do a 30 frames per second rate, and we want to do a compression type. We want to choose a type that allows export with transparent backgrounds. However, if you're not doing that, if you're not making the background transparent, then it doesn't matter. You could use any type like H.264 and it won't matter that you don't have a transparent background. You just won't be able to use it over something in iMovie. You would have to use it all by itself, which is fine too. So let's go and choose HEVC. HEVC or Apple ProRes 4444 are the two ways that we can have export with transparent backgrounds. And note that this won't work if we didn't set the background to no fill for this slide. If for some reason you've got multiple slides, they all have to be set to have a background no fill. So now we're going to save and we're going to export this out to the desktop. And now here on the desktop we've got our video. I'm going to look at it in Quick Look. And there it goes. Now in iMovie I could bring this in really easily by simply dragging the file and sticking it, say, here at the beginning of the video. So now I've got this video here. It starts like that. But I could also have set this up to be over a background. So I can go to Backgrounds here and then choose a background. So let's pick something like this simple background here. Stick that there. And then if I bring in that same video and stick it on top like that, then you can see this is 7 seconds long. Let's change this to also be 7 seconds long so it matches. And you can see that this will be over that background because it's semi-transparent. Obviously if you were doing it without a transparent background then you wouldn't need to do this. You would just have it by itself. You could even move this over some video you've got. So here I've got it coming out of the video that I have. Make sure of course you have this set up as a cutaway in the video overlay settings so it just appears full frame over the background or video. And back here in Keynote you can easily reuse this animation by selecting it, and you don't have to change any of this stuff except go to Image and you've got a Replace button here. So it's really easy to simply replace the newspaper with another one without having to rebuild everything from scratch. So I hope you find this video effect useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.